Jim Ryan hit the stand on this Addicts topic. Sorry, Addicts having a power issue, so I have to take over his topic. So look, Jim Ryan hit the stand. He has a lot of choice things to say, so I'm going to get a bunch of his bars off. Some of the key ones, not everything. So yeah, Jim Ryan admits Starfield's exclusivity is not anti-competitive. Lawyers ask Ryan point blank if he believes exclusivity for games like Redfall and Starfield are anti-competitive. I don't like it, but I don't view it as anti-competitive. However, speaking of the ABK deal as a whole, Ryan said he told Activision and CEO Bobby Kotick he thought the deal was anti-competitive and wanted to get it blocked. Ryan said Kotick wanted to cover himself with an extended Call of Duty deal with Sony just in case things fell through. What Bobby wanted to do was cover himself by extending the marketing collaboration between Sony and Activision in the event of the transaction not proceeding. So a little slander right there for how Bobby was moving. Ryan calls Xbox Game Pass value destructive. He called the subscription service destructive, say publishers he's spoken to are not fans of the model. The Game Pass business model appears to have some challenges, and Microsoft appears to be losing a lot of money on it. I talked to all the publishers, and they unanimously do not like Game Pass because it is value destructive. So that was a big
lie detector said.
Why the cops came through right at this point? That's kind of hilarious. That was
a fraud alert. That was the cops. It was a fraud alert.
That was a fraud alert. Oh man. So look, on August 2020, this was big. August 2022 email from Phil Spencer set Jim Ryan's alarm bells ringing. After Xbox announced its intention to acquire Activision in 2022, Ryan said Phil Spencer reached out to him in May 2022 with a potential letter agreement and list of games Xbox would commit to keeping on PlayStation. Ryan said this interaction with Spencer did not adequately address his concerns about Activision games on PlayStation moving forward. Ryan also said that he was concerned about the transaction in May 2022, but Spencer's response to Sony's counter proposal in August 2022 set the alarm bells ringing. This email from Spencer caused major concerns within Sony's camp, but the contents of the email were not shared in court.
I actually know the contents of the email.
What's the contents of the email?
He sent the email, and this is the whole email, and I quote, "No." That was it.
Man.
And then the alarm bells went off.
All right, fair enough.
They specifically said that in the list of games that Phil Spencer sent to Jim Ryan, if the acquisition comes through, this is all the stuff that's going to stay with you, right? So Jim Ryan's alarm bells went off because he didn't see Overwatch 2. He saw Overwatch 1, he didn't see Overwatch. Jim Ryan realized that Overwatch 2 wasn't on the list, and the alarm bells went off. So this is his...
Overwatch 1 wasn't on the list.
No, 1 was, 2 wasn't.
That's what he said. So we believe that Microsoft intends to use Call of Duty to disadvantage PlayStation in terms of the availability or the manner in which the game is made available on PlayStation consoles, and to drive PlayStation gamers to the Xbox platform, specifically Game Pass. Another key point that about dev kits and if the acquisition goes through. So last week, obviously, Phil testified that he sent PlayStation 5 to Sony, the dev kits, that Sony sent PlayStation 5 developer kits to Microsoft well after other developers got them. Phil also claimed that the late access to the dev kits is why there's no native version of Minecraft on PlayStation 5. Now, Jim has said in his piece on the dev kits that that Sony would continue to hold back dev kits of future consoles from Activision if Xbox's acquisition is completed. Jim goes on to say, we simply cannot run the risk of a company that was owned by our direct competitor having access to that information. That information could leak into other parts of Microsoft and potentially allow them to be able to develop similar features to the ones that we would argue that we invented. And he claimed that Sony could not rely on a contract to make Activision keep PlayStation features secret from Microsoft. So that was a big point of contention from him. And the last one, which was very interesting, was Jim Ryan about Bungie and how he looked at Bungie versus the ABK deal. And he said, Jim said that Sony will get more out of the Bungie purchase than it would out of buying Activision Blizzard. Ryan said this largely comes down to Bungie's expertise in the live service space. It continues to go on. When you look at $69 billion for Activision compared to $3.6 billion for Bungie, we believe that Bungie can give us way more than a $69 billion acquisition acquisition of ActiVision. And that's before considering the relative value of that particular transaction. So
That's saying you broke without saying you broke.
Can I ask you a question, Kyle?
Yes.
Was Jim Ryan? Was Jim Ryan lying to the regulators, or was he lying to his investors?
He's lying to himself.
He just
because these two things they don't go together. It's like the duality of man.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
One side you're saying we're fine.
Yes.
You're saying you're insulated. You're saying it doesn't matter. You're saying if Microsoft wanted to make an exclusivity play, they could have just spent $5 billion for 3 years of Call of Duty exclusivity. You're saying you don't even know if they're going to be able to manage it. You're saying they need to do that to compete.
Right.
That's what you said to your former boss.
Correct.
And then you said it again to your investors at Fidelity.
Correct.
But then you went to regulators and said, no, this is anti-competitive.
Right.
And you wouldn't even answer the question under oath. If you were Phil Spencer, would you do the same thing?
Correct.
So he was lying somewhere. I'm just asking the question of who he was lying to.
He doesn't understand the question. He doesn't have enough knowledge to answer such.
Please,
isn't he a former lawyer?
It's fraudulent behavior. Let's just call it what it is. We ain't gonna sugarcoat this. This is fraudulent behavior, and this is protecting shareholders. And I get it. We know you're gonna do what you got to do, bro. So Everborn, I'm with you on that. I want to start with Kesanti. Just in general, Jim Ryan statements. Where you at with that? You know, there's a lot to unpack here. What did you get from most of his testimony?
Oh, I got from Jim's testimony the stuff I always get from Jim's testimony. You know, he knows, and I think it was on ILP. I said this. He knows that he has earned his spot on the Mount Rushmore of snitches. At this point, it's all cake. He has earned it. I mean, am I wrong? Like he can now take. He can now go and have webinars talking to people how David can poke the eye out of Goliath. Like he has done this.
You said he's up there with Frank Lucas?
Oh man.
Sammy the ball in the face.
But let's be clear. Let's be absolutely clear. He is doing his job. Like, I've said this too. For my soccer fans out there, when you see Ronaldo running down the field and he grabs his leg, you don't get mad at him when the referee doesn't give him the call. You get mad at the ref. Don't hate the player, hate the game. He's just playing the game.
That's what it is.
And in that realm, he is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And the fact that he's been able to take a bite, even if it's the smallest piece, out of a $2 trillion company, a company whose budget he may never see in his entire lifetime, but somehow has made them move to him.
Has he though?
Hey, look.
No. I want to know what remedies are in place.
Yes.
To save the PlayStation.
See, you obviously he hasn't moved them to the place where he wants to move them, but he's moved them enough to where they've had to go through a lot of superfluous processes. Like as we've discussed, they're putting out contracts and doing things that are unusual because he's gotten enough of the regulators on his side to the point where you got Microsoft now doing marketing research to discover whether or not there's outsized influence on whether it's a positive or negative for the environment that they're buying, things they never do when they purchase by their own admission, right? And I would argue that's all because of Mr. Ryan, right? Yep. He's the one who went out there, did all that, and got all of these ducks, got all his pawns in a row, ready to make them get you to do all this stuff.
But
so he kind of took a piece out of
PlayStation.
Yeah,
he did great work for Nintendo and Nvidia. What did he do for PlayStation?
I mean, they're Europe presence, though. We can't deny his dominance in that region and how he really elevated them. I got to give him that in Europe. He really transformed.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about.
Your question?
He's great for Sony.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying what Kay's talking about is what he was able to accomplish to sort of bother
to stymie the process.
The deal itself. What did he accomplish in the deal?
Bro, give me a week. We will talk again because I guarantee, please, maybe you can prove me wrong. You right now can't tell me definitively that this is going to go through. Even though you and I are on the exact same page because of what Hogue Law says, you can't account for crazy, and that crazy was stoked by Jim Ryan and all of that. So all of that.
See,
you're telling me that Jim has nothing to do with the fervor that has caused this process?
I think Jim Ryan was a useful idiot for people who already wanted to block the deal.
But you don't think he's
they both used each other.
Yeah, you don't think that he's one of the persons to ignite the
That's right.
The only person, because the judge says, if Sony would have took the deal, would we be here?
That's right.
And the FTC tried to skirt around the question, and she changed it again and said, again, I'm going to ask you, if Jim Ryan did not go to regulators and bring up this issue and sign the contract, would we
be here?
Not be here.
Yeah, she said.
And by the way,
this is an inevitable point that we would have gotten to, but you would have never gotten here without Jim snitching.
Yeah.
By the way, she said that to the lawyer who was 5 minutes ago asking about Diablo 4. Yeah, the guy who used to work for him.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, he has put something in to this process, whether he was completely successful or not. You know, we'll see about that.
We'll see, right?
But you can't take from him the fact that he has earned his paycheck. He has earned his PlayStation paycheck. For real. Whether he successfully does it or not, he has earned his paycheck, and you got to give him credit for that, right? Because if you were in his position, this is what you'd want to have done.
Maybe not.
Everybody feeling it. Everybody feeling it.
See, I told Everborn once, what if Sony buys Sega and then does a Ratchet and Clank style Sonic? Will you forgive them for that? And he's like, his head almost exploded. It was crazy.
That would be a crazy timeline.
You know what I mean?
I would prefer not to answer that question.
Oh no, you sound like Jim now. You sound like Jim now. So, fair enough. Look, let's get.
By the way, fun fact. This is a fun fact for everybody. If you know your Sonic and Sega history, what's the engineer over at Sony? What's his name again? I don't know why.
Mark Cerny.
Mark Cerny.
Mark Cerny. Yeah.
Used to work for Sega of America.
Absolutely.
And when Sonic 2 was gonna get made, he brought Yuji Naka over to work because he didn't really want to work in Japan, and they kind of worked together to make that happen. So there is some DNA there, but nah.
So to answer your question directly, I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do. I think a lot of his conversations were full of straight lies, right? Which I find quite interesting because, you know, we've heard a lot of tea spilt about it. C-class executives cannot lie. They can skirt the truth. They can embellish. They can do a little bit of that bobbing and weaving that we saw Kotek and the rest of them do. This dude, you can find point positive lies in his statement. But for some reason, that just true. Well, no, yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was deposed.
It was
his deposition. It was
something totally different.
It
wasn't
video.
Since he's since he's not the defendant and they're not on trial.
So they deposed him, but then they didn't, and then that's the reason why he didn't come on. He didn't come to them because then he would have to be under oath. Yes, absolutely. So I guess then that means that's probably why he's able to skirt this one on the side. Good point. But yes, at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know. You can hate on him as much as you want, you know. You can, you know, and you can have issues with how he made his moves and what he's doing and all of that. He's like, I played Call of Duty games, and I'm like, I don't believe you, sir. You know, you can do that. You can do that.
What's your PSN tag?
Exactly.
That's the art of the snitch, man. We gotta respect his snitch game. Like he's like the Omega snitch, right? Like, and he got little mini bosses like Sammy the Bull and Tekashi next to him. But he's like the king snitch, like. So he knows how to move. Like you thought you was gonna get him on the stand. He's like, ha videotape. Like
that's right.
And he sent it on a VHS tape.
Oh man.
Because you know they won the war against Betamax. It was just little things. And he makes sure that y'all understand exactly where he at with it. His snitch game has no parallel.
Bro, I will not deny his snitch game at all, because when did you ever think that a billion-dollar company could literally poke the eye out of a $2 trillion company and really cause as much static as he has right now?
Hey, Asante, remember when your mother told you, be careful with your words because words are power? And you were like, nah, man, people hitting people in the face hurt, right? And you was like, I ain't gonna believe her. And Jim said he understood that.
Oh, yeah.
His moms told him that words is powerful. Jim said yes. And he went to Brazil and said, Mira, aquí. A moment of your time, por favor.
Oh man, por favor. I can't with you with the bad Spanish. I can't. Moving on. We gotta speed this up. I need to get PK real quick. Be quiet. So obviously Jim Ryan's testimony, a lot of things to unpack. Anything that's particularly stand out for you in reference to his testimony?
For me, because he was on a recorded deposition, and even though Sony's headquarters is like 20 minutes.
Oh, you saw the G Africa? Yeah, I peeped that.
From,
I mean, if you're a snitch, it behooves you to be right next to the courthouse, right?
No, this is what he did.
I'm just saying.
This is how slick he is. He makes sure that his working where he works at is out of UK. So technically, even though he's here, he actually works out of the UK office. So they can't necessarily ask him to come in.
I mean, PK though, seriously, you had Satya take a meeting and go, sorry, president of the free world, I'll be right back because these people got to ask me about video games.
Satya's in Seattle. Honestly,
you know what I'm saying?
But again, they're not on trial here.
True. Yeah, very true.
They're not the defendant. If it goes to trial in August, that will be different.
Oh, yeah.
This is just for a restraining order. It's not the same thing as going to court in August. So they don't have to show up right now. However, that doesn't change anything in August whenever they go to court. But just to be clear, and I just want to make sure everyone in the chat knows that, everyone listening, FTC had the burden of proof, not Microsoft.
Yep, right.
And they had the burden of proof not by certain, not even by certain, just probable cause.
Yes.
That's all they had to prove.
Yep.
Not theory. And what they did was they had a lot of theories, but no evidence to bring probability. I mean, even their so-called expert had a quantitative data model that my students can put up, right? And, kids that can put together. And he based it off of Xbox One and PS4, which is crazy to me that you're going to use that and apply it here. Then you put your own input in. Not input that it created. You put it to come up with said. So listen to that. Jim Ryan sat there, and it's crazy that these emails came out, and someone goofed on what they're not supposed to show. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but
no, they just used the wrong marker.
Oh, that Sharpie. Oh, that Sharpie gate.
The scourge is a Sharpie.
That's when you find out the level of incompetence that you're working with.
He did put doubts in by positioning the language on if we do not allow Microsoft the access to our console, should they buy this, it's going to hurt our consumers, which in turn hurts consumers. That's the language or the method he was trying to use to position it. And also, basically he was the way he was speaking was obviously he was comfortable. He was being recorded, and which means they can have mass retakes. Oh, well, I don't like that. Let's do this again.
He was in the booth.
Cog, he was punching.
He was punching in the booth. Yo, run that back. Let me get that. Let me get that off. All right, guys. You do the
FTC. Yeah, you know me. You down with FTC?
Not the punches in the booth. Oh man,
punch that.
But what I want to get at is, he does. I agree with Cog. He is a businessman. He's doing what he's doing for his brand. And he's trying to put enough doubt out there for this any way they can to delay this deal so it can fall through. He's going to do it. He wouldn't be lobbying if it wasn't important. If it wasn't important, we wouldn't even be talking about this. He wouldn't have been there. He wouldn't be in UK. He wouldn't be all over the place trying to persuade people to go that direction if it wasn't important. And I think the judge was not only smart enough but savvy enough to understand game.
Yeah, she said that.
That's why she asked the question. We wouldn't
even be here. Facts. She did say that.
If they signed the agreement like everybody else, will we? They couldn't answer it because that's not the truth.
Good point.
That's not why. It didn't matter if they signed the agreement or not. You are pushing this initiative for your own reasons because someone else came to you and started pulling coattails.
No doubt.
Now, and we already know why they refused to sign contracts, because it's not just because of Call of Duty. They want to guarantee they get everything, and they want everything they lost.
No.
He wants everything and everything he lost. And that is what came out. And what also came out is, hey, no one talked about this. Marketing is a huge deal.
Yes.
The fact that Xbox couldn't even mention the word Call of Duty on their show last year.
Point. Marketing holds weight.
That position Sony to or the appearance to, because we are the small few who are into this, right? But the casual market,
they have no idea. They think that's a PlayStation exclusive.
Yes, it looks like a PlayStation. Think about this.
Talk to them.
How many people know that Sifu is on Xbox?
Factual. Talk to them.
Yeah.
Marketing holds power. Marketing where it's hold.
It is on there, but no one knows because they're not allowed to market it. That is huge. So if they own the marketing rights to Call of Duty, no longer do they have this narrative of
King
power.
gonna like his next topic about that.
This is gonna be fun.
And he knows that this is what Jim Ryan knows. Think about this. This is what no one says. He also asked for them to cancel all the contracts with Activision where they have to pay them back for some of this marketing stuff that they front loaded. He don't want to pay the bills either. Nobody's seen that. I mean, it's there, but nobody paid attention. I find that this is a typical thing, and this is why I don't understand why people get so in their feelings about, because business is business. They're gonna do what's best for their situation, and I do respect that he is savage.
Oh yeah, bro.
He is savage.
Listen, people are like, yo, don't defend foul behavior, and I'm like, bro, that's business.
But me personally, I would just say we still believe in generations, and and greatness is still waiting. I don't know what it's
all right, PK, we gotta stop. You shooting too much. You shooting too much. You was doing good. You were being rational, and now you shooting shots.
1080p makes you a better gamer. Unless,
we moving on. We moving on. We not. We trying to make this a peaceful discussion. You out here busting shots on the block. We gonna stop you now, sir.
I mean, Cog. It is almost 4th of July.
Oh man, y'all letting the fireworks off early.
Just so you know, when the next PSVR come out, you're gonna have to buy everything all over again.
Oh, here we go.
The next PlayStation VR
remakes a Super Turbo Edition.
Oh,
Last of Us.
Time on PK, but you was spent. You had great ball.
They need a PlayStation 6 to get another VR, bro.
Oh man, Everboy, do you want to comment on Jim Brown?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes. Real quick.
Because this is law. We got to move this along.
All right. So the one thing is that you brought up about how they could not even mention Call of Duty on their stage. You know what's wild? Sony was giving them a 10% discount for the pleasure or the ability to be able to do that. Xbox had to pay the same non-standard rate, and they got nothing for it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they got worse, and they still had to pay Sony's price. So none of the benefits actually being hurt by it, and they still had to pay 20%. But like the North, Phil never forget. And that is why he was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna pay you the 20%, but when he came back to him, he got it. But anyway,
we got to paint the picture. Everborn, Bobby Kotick rolled into Winterfell and made the Queen bend the knee to these turns. Queen Sarah they had to bend the knee, and like you said, the North remember. Continue the story. This is great. This is great.
And so, okay, you wanted to strong arm us about this 20%, and or you gonna pull all your content off the platform?
Yeah, take the armies.
Boom. your employees just happen to start coming forward.
Okay.
Right? Oh, you just happen. I mean, we're a multinational conglomerate, and now you just happen to be getting sued all over the world. Oh, your stock price is dropping. Bobby calls Phil. Phil don't pick up the phone.
Oh man. Oh man.
And then Phil then he picks up and says, "This is what we gonna offer you. Cash. I'm not even talking to you no more. Take it to your board."
Oh man.
But anyway, that's not about this. We want to talk about
Yes, please,
the Jim Ryan. So the thing is this, right? I hear a lot of people running with this idea that Jim Ryan said, "Oh, Bobby K was trying to work out a side deal."
Yes.
If you believe that Bobby Kotick would forget about the $67 billion or whatever, right? $68.7 billion. You understand, if he had any conversation like that, that would put his $3 billion breakup fee at risk. Do you think Bobby K is going to have any conversation like that to put that at risk?
Everborn, they're forgetting the part when Bobby told you, I was trying to reach out to these dudes and they wasn't calling me back. So that conversation never happened because he didn't get in on the phone to get to the other side to make the proposal, because Jim was already butthurt from the stuff that he did. He said, "How dare y'all do this and bring this to me? How dare y'all not allow me to little man this dude?" No, I don't want to talk to nobody. That's a person that sees what they did and they're ghosting you looking at the phone. He knows what's up. Nah. Jim,
and that's why he said, "I believe Bobby was trying to work out a deal." He didn't say that that's what Bobby was trying to do, because that makes no sense at all. But he was up there lying the whole time anyway. The other piece of it is, when we talk about these contract negotiations, I don't know, like I understand it, because if I don't want this deal to happen, why? And I know that if you get my go ahead, that kills the regulators' arguments.
There we go.
So why should I sign anything unless I'm gonna get everything?
Factual.
Right? There's no reason for me to sign it. But if you want me to sign it, cool. I'm gonna take your knees for that.
Yep.
Right.
That's what's going on.
He was doing what he had to do. But to Mr. K. Asante's point, right? All of this, and at the end of the day, from the beginning of this deal, Microsoft said it's going to take 18 months to close, right? We're right at the 18-month mark, and after this hurdle, they can just close, because I think they'll close over the CMA. That would be closing in 18 months. They said they were going to keep the game on PlayStation. They're probably going to keep the game on PlayStation, unless Jim wants to get cute. The point is, all of this hooting and hollering and turning state's evidence and doing all of that, and we still end up where Microsoft said we were going to end up, and when they said it was going to happen. So Jim Ryan has only been successful if the deal gets delayed and doesn't close past 18 months. Other than that, Microsoft said the terms in the beginning. That is the terms they will continue to get. And they don't have to sign anything. There's no remedy in place anywhere in the world that says that they have to give Sony any special terms. There's nothing in writing saying that they have to give Sony access on the subscription service. There's nothing in writing saying that they can't do timed exclusivity.
Yeah, they have to ask for it. That's right. Yeah, and they have to pay for it when they ask for it.
Right. So again, all of this that we're looking at Jim Ryan like he's some kind of Svengali, what did he really get done? They're closing in 18 months, like they said.
He dirtied up Pete. He got people to look at. Yeah, he dirtied the waters, man.
He got a deal for Nintendo and Nvidia. That's what he did.